Greetings. You may be wondering, what kind of topic is this? Can machines be conscious? Okay, what's the talk about? I confess this topic is really about consciousness, not robots. I did my graduate work in consciousness studies, so it's one of my favorite topics. Well, robots are interesting, right? You've seen them in movies. You might know a bit about AI or artificial intelligence. You've probably seen a few movies where robots are so smart they begin to take over, like movies like I, Robot or Hal the Computer from 2001, A Space Odyssey. You might remember this interchange between the astronaut Dave and Hal the Computer. Hello, Hal. Do you read me, Hal? Affirmative, Dave. I read you. Open the pod bay doors, Hal. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. What's the problem? I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do. What are you talking about, Hal? The mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it. I don't know what you're talking about, Hal. I know that you and Frank were planning to disconnect me, and I'm afraid that's something I cannot allow to happen. That was probably the start of the Scary Robot series, which is turned into quite a long series of movies. We have a long tradition now of scary robots in the movies rebelling against their inferior humans. That brings us to our first term to consider here, which is intelligence. We've been trying to make computers smart for a long time, and we've succeeded. Granted, the intelligence is artificial, but in many ways computers are already very intelligent, in some ways more intelligent than we are. They easily beat us in chess now, after many years of getting beaten by humans. They now build our cars, are better than humans at precise construction, number crunching, calculating complex problems, and operating in hostile environments. So, how do these intelligent computers and robots do when they try to be like humans? They're getting better at behaving like humans and even talk to us somewhat intelligently. But are they capable of being conscious as humans are conscious? To answer that, you need to understand exactly what consciousness is, and that is the purpose of this discussion. You can discuss AI or robots being a threat to humanity in these discussions, but please do so after you have answered the main questions. So, what then is consciousness? Everyone knows what consciousness is, right? It's something we do every day. So, what are we going to argue about? Well, waking consciousness, as it is called by cognitive psychologists, is much more complex than most people think. We wake up in the morning and there it is. We take it for granted. Please don't rely on the definitions you find in dictionaries here. Even the one in Cicerelli is very brief. A person's awareness of everything that is going on around him or her at any given time, which is used to organize behavior. That's Cicerelli. That is in the side column definition, and you should never rely solely on those. In the text, amongst other things, it adds that awareness also includes everything that's going on in your head, which is a major missing item on the side column definition. I won't give you all the information in the text, but you should not rely solely on that either, as it doesn't nearly describe consciousness adequately. One of the biggest things missing is what cognitive psychologists call qualia. The Oxford Dictionary defines qualia as the internal and subjective component of sense perceptions arising from stimulation of the senses by phenomena. So, we might be describing an apple as being red, but our experience of the red is as redness. The operative phrase here is experience of. That is the essence of human consciousness, the ability to experience all of the things in our conscious world. And that's the thing that you have to really consider when you ask yourself, can a robot do this? I'll let you decide what those are and how that might influence our ability to create conscious robots. You might also consider what role emotions play in our consciousness. Would it be necessary to install emotions in a robot to make it conscious, or are emotions a typical but not necessary component of consciousness? Phrased differently, if your robot was capable of experiencing things in its conscious world without emotions, would it nonetheless be considered conscious? Could we have an emotionless human that was nonetheless conscious? I think you can begin to see the benefit of understanding consciousness in being able to logically determine the conscious robot question. There are also more considerations that I have described, but I'll leave those up to you. You should now have a better understanding of why I created this question. This should be an interesting and fun assignment, so feel free to ask questions if you need to.